It's gonna be dramatic when in the moon. Oh. Hi everybody, it's Kayla. Today we're going to be talking about the Pisces full moon coming up. It has some drama to it. When does the Pisces full moon not have a giant cathartic emotional release with it? I'm excited for this one. I know I say that literally in every video, but I love a good full moon. I love a good purge. I love a good letting go. I love a good ending that is very necessary to happen. I have had to restart this video literally 10 times because I keep stumbling on my words, and that's the Mercury retrograde setting in. That's going to be stationing retrograde the day before the full moon. That's going to add some miscommunication into the mix a little bit, but we're going to talk about all of it. I do have my notes in front of me on my iPad, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. I'm not talking shit about you. But let's get into it. Full moon in Pisces, September 10th at 17 degrees of Pisces, obviously. And it's going to be sextile Uranus and Taurus, as well as the North Node in Taurus in a 1-degree orb. So pretty tight, really positive influence there. Those are harmonious aspects that we're dealing with, as well as a trine to Lilith in Cancer at a tighter orb, at an exact orb of 0 degrees. And we know Lilith is kind of this like evil twin sister asteroid situation going on of our insatiable, instinctual desires that we crave and need to get our desires met with. However, because we have a positive aspect to it, I do think that there's going to be some primal emotional things coming to the surface, but in a way where we'll kind of be liberated to go after these things rather than having to do like the sneaky nature of getting the things that we want by, you know, doing that through the vessel of malicious behavior. So I think this is really going to be a cathartic emotional release paired with a harmonious, supportive bond between our emotional world regarding the themes of the house that Pisces rules in our chart and our need for freedom, liberation, or new exciting adventures in the area of our life that Taurus rules. And I'm going to get into all this and how it's going to affect everybody based on your rising sign in the second half of the video. But we've been dealing with this Uranus stuff for a while, right? Uranus is very rebellious. It's very liberal. It's very exciting. It's very eccentric. It likes to destabilize us and kind of like throw a wrench into the mix in the name of seeking freedom and, you know, being a wild card. It reminds me of the Wheel of Fortune card in tarot, honestly, or even like a little bit of the Fool card, I would say, with the Pisces influence here. Maybe that's more of the leap of faith energy that we're looking at. But unexpected events and unusual circumstances are to be expected. However, this is less of a destructive destabilization and more of an exciting invitation to go out on a whim and take a leap of faith in your journey of letting go or reaching a culminating ending to a person, place, or situation in your life. So full moons in general, we know, are letting go, releasing things, it's endings, it's coming full circle. And Pisces basically really puts the nail in the coffin as far as endings and coming full circle with lessons, especially on an emotional level when it comes to things like addiction, escapism, being maybe romanticized, blinded by, or clouded by your emotions. So I feel like this big culminating point, like long overdue goodbye to something that we maybe should have walked away from a while ago, but now in doing so, we will be met with a new chapter of freedom. So with the supported energy from Lilith, there's a deep-seated, insatiable craving to have our desires met in the area of our life that Cancer rules, and rather than needing to lie, cheat, or steal to get it, we're being encouraged to take the more radical route, which is literally just following your primal instincts, going after what you want, and saying it with your chest too, even if it means letting go of something in another area of your life. So there might be like a trade in here where we do have to close the door, the chapter on one thing in order to get this moment of freedom. It's like really taking the weight off. I'm literally picturing like sludge or tar or just being weighed down by something and finally being able to just like get it away from you and now be this renewed, like healed, rejuvenated sense of self and starting a new chapter. So we know that whenever the moon is in Pisces, everybody's in a mood, everybody's locking themselves up inside and retracting into their solitude. So crying, people love to cry on a Pisces moon. I do too. Pisces rules my 5th house. It's not a bad house to have Pisces in at all. If anything, I would say it's one of the better ones. However, every time the moon is in Pisces, even just transiting through its cycle, I am in my feelings, absolutely. So Pisces itself rules illusions, addictions, escapism, and having this supercharged transit in Pisces, such as a full moon, indicates some emotional intensity, or at the very least an emphasis on our ability to see through the fog and find the spiritual lesson within whatever we're dealing with in that area of our lives. And just like I mentioned before, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, so we're wrapping up a big narrative here to prepare for the new moon in Aries, which is quite literally the beginning of a new chapter in terms of the zodiacal calendar. So for context on some insights this transit might give you, think back to March 2nd of this year of 2022 when we had the Pisces new moon, which indicated kind of the opening of the door of the era that we are now currently closing the door on. You might have started to see like the conception of whatever you're starting to tie up the loose ends with now start around March of this year. And if you want more context to that, to see like what you're going to be having to close out on or to look even deeper with, September 20th of 2021 was the last time we had a full moon in Pisces. So ask yourself what was going on, what you were emotionally dealing with, what you had to let go of around that time. And it's likely that you're learning the same lesson that you had to learn around this time last year, just through the vessel of like a new person, a new place, or a new situation. Think of the emotional lesson or the emotional release or goodbye or closing of the door that you had around, what was it, September 20th of last year. And then think about and assess what you're going through now and see if there's a crossover between the same lesson or the same goodbye or the same closure that you need to seek. So as always, think before you speak. Don't react from a place of paranoia or romanticization, and allow the astrology to deliver to you what you need at this time rather than going out and searching for it. I've noticed that when people talk about full moons and new moons, they're always like, don't manifest on a full moon, you know, like bad things are gonna happen. I personally, like, you're manifesting all the time. If we're being like factual about it, you are, by the terms of what manifesting is, always like, you know, your thoughts are technically becoming reality, which I have arguments against. I don't necessarily believe in that term, but what we know manifesting to be, you're always doing it, right? Whether it's consciously or subconsciously. So when it comes to a full moon, I don't think I would maybe be wishing for new things, just because it is really intense energy and it might be coming from like a place of wounds or like romanticization or something like that. But in terms of like what you have to let go of, you don't have to cut a cord if you don't need to cut a cord right now. Like, let things fall into place. The full moon doesn't always have to be this like slashing, horrific, tumultuous goodbye. Sometimes full moons just mean like you're culminating a project that you've been working on, or like you're seeing the fruits of your labor, or something is reaching its culmination. Like, for example, the full moon that we just had in Aquarius, I didn't have to say some horrific, dramatic goodbye. I didn't have this like insane exposure of somebody deceiving me. I literally just moved from my home, because Aquarius rules my fourth house of home and family, and now I'm in LA. Like, it doesn't always have to be something so radical. And I would argue that with the very positive aspects that we have to this full moon, this doesn't give me the intense, like almost paranoia that I feel like we typically feel with full moons. That's not to say that it won't be dramatic in some cases, but I think it's more clarity through chaos, or like a breakthrough through having a breakdown. It's kind of like having shit hit the fan and then seeing clear after it makes its course, you know what I'm saying? So I just really want you guys to think of this as an opportunity to purge any residual hindering emotions, any addictions, bad habits, or forms of escapism that may have clouded your vision. And at its most scandalous, if there's some drama for people in the chat, I would say it's a time for truth coming to light, secrets being revealed, and exposure of what's been hidden in the dark finally coming to the surface. And that's always something to look forward to. I know a lot of times, especially when it comes to people dealing with their relationship drama and stuff like that, they're always like, I don't even want to know, girl, don't tell me. And it's like, no, you want to know, because once you know, you'll be able to let go and move forward. So this is going to be exciting. I'm excited for it. I think in terms of the positive aspects to Uranus in the North Node, again, happening in Taurus, we have had so much Taurus stuff going on this entire year, and Uranus throughout the summer, as far as having these like very destabilizing, unexpected changes happening in the area of our chart that Taurus rules. And Taurus itself is like, no, we want to be stable. We need to have a foundation. We don't like being all over the place and not, you know, having a sturdy foundation to walk upon. So I would say I mean, Uranus is a very slow moving planet. It's not new energy. It's been in Taurus since 2018. However, I think right now with the retrograde as well, there's this like undoing of the knots that we've already made and kind of like going back into our narrative and backspacing and like deleting some stuff, moving it some other stuff, and then adding new stuff in a way that maybe we didn't plan for and didn't expect our story to go in this direction, but in a way that might lead us to a more adventurous, liberating, or opportunist conclusion than we were initially planning for. And like I say with astrology, we always think we want one thing and we're like, oh, I want this to happen with this transit, or I want this to happen with this new moon. Let things take their course. Let the universe, God, spirit, astrology, whatever you want to accredit it to, and yourself, pick things up and put them somewhere else. Delete this stuff and remove it completely. Add new things onto your plate that you never asked for and you'll be happier than ever. Don't panic, especially with full moons. You don't need to panic. Just let things flow and it'll be very exciting. And I'll let you guys know how it goes for me, because I am certainly curious as to how stuff's gonna fall together for me, because I have no clue what's going on in my life, just like everybody else. So let's get into how this is going to affect each of the rising signs. I'm not going to be in this next clip. I know. I'm so sorry you don't get to see this face, but let me know how you guys like this video at the end. You can subscribe to my Patreon. It's going to be in the description if you want weekly horoscopes. It's for every single day. I have a deep description on what's going on in the sky. And then if you'd like a personal reading to see how this is going to affect you personally, or have a birth chart reading, synastry, compatibility, feeling lost reading, tarot reading as well, you can go to my website and book there. And then you can follow me on my socials for any fun discounts or just to get in communication with me. So love you guys so much. Thank you for listening and enjoy the full moon. Aries risings, this full moon is happening in your 12th house of your dreams, fears, subconscious thinking, self-sabotage, addiction, escapism, mental health, sleep, and hidden enemies. And it's being supported by Uranus in the North Node in your 2nd house of money, finances, values, possessions, self-worth, emotional and financial security, ownership, and things that belong to you. So this is really the end of subconscious limited beliefs or addictions through the vessel of newfound self-worth. Another chance could be letting go of fear around people's judgments of you and how that's affecting your self-confidence, a new income stream or sense of control around valuable things in your life, whether that's literally or metaphorically, due to a spiritual revelation or newfound understanding of letting go of what no longer serves you or your mental health. Taurus risings, this full moon is happening in your 11th house of friends, associates, networking, making money, social media, groups, communities, and manifestation. And it's being supported by the North Node and Uranus in your 1st house of self, identity, looks, personality, sense of self, perspective, and approach to life. So this could look like endings around friendships that no longer resonate with you due to a newfound sense of self, walking away from a group or community that no longer aligns with who you are as a person, or the wrapping up of a dream or manifestation for this current version of who you are. Gemini risings, this full moon is happening in your 10th house of career, public image, reputation, accomplishments, success, confidence, and assertion. And it's being supported by Uranus in the North Node in your 12th house of dreams, fears, subconscious beliefs, self-sabotage, addiction, escapism, mental health, sleep, and hidden enemies. So this could look like a completion or coming a full circle moment regarding your professional life due to something that might have happened behind closed doors, an ending in a job or a career position due to the effects of it on your mental health, or even leaving behind a part of your reputation that no longer resonates with who you are on the inside. Cancer risings, this full moon is happening in your 9th house of traveling, wisdom, broadening your horizons, looking outside of the box, education, perspective, and spirituality. And it's being supported by the North Node and Uranus in your 11th house of friends, associates, networking, making money, social media, groups and communities, and manifestations. So this could look like a wrapping up around something regarding school, education, or a spiritual lesson, but leaving with newfound friends or big goals, reaching the final days of a vacation or a trip and resonating with the community that you had made during the experience, or even going very far and wide, whether that's geographically or philosophically, in regards to connecting with other people who resonate with your new way of thinking. Leo risings, this full moon is happening in your 8th house of sex, death, taxes, shared investments, secrets, privacy, hidden information, and it's being supported by Uranus in the North Node in your 10th house of career, public image, reputation, accomplishments, success, confidence, and assertion. So this could look like endings surrounding anything that's like government related, especially those shared with somebody close to you, like a marriage or a lease or a promise, with the support of change in your career. It could also look at getting recognition for finishing a project that involved the participation
participation or investment of other people, or wrapping up a big inner transformation of self-sabotage, shame, or shyness, and seeing the payoff in your professional world. Virgo risings, this full moon is happening in your 7th house of relationships, contracts, business partnerships, open enemies, interpersonal connections, and collaborations, and it's being supported by Uranus in the North Node in your 9th house of traveling, wisdom, broadening your horizons, looking outside the box, education, perspective, and spirituality. So this could look like the ending of a friendship this could look like the end of a relationship or contract with somebody due to a newfound perspective or spiritual awakening, the ending of a vacation or a trip that included a partner of some sort, or walking away from somebody and tying up loose ends with collaborations that didn't align with your personal philosophy or educational experience. Libra risings, this full moon is happening in your 6th house of work, health, habits, routines, pets, labor, structure, and jobs, and it's being supported by the North Node and Uranus in your 8th house of sex, death, taxes, shared investments, secrets, privacy, and hidden information. So this could look like the wrapping up of a work-related project due to the end of a contractual agreement, finally receiving an investment or compensation for the labor of your work, or even leaving a job due to the level of give and take. Or this could also, on a more personal level, look like having to let go of a pet, or maybe come to terms with a health issue for you or somebody else due to death or payment, insurance, like government related details, things that revolve around transactional give and take. Scorpio risings, this full moon is happening in your 5th house of sex, romance, children, indulgence, fun, entertainment, creativity, pleasure, and your inner child, and is being supported by Uranus in the North Node in your 7th house of relationships, contracts, business partnerships, open enemies, interpersonal connections, and collaborations. So this could look like the end of a hookup or a situationship due to an upgrade or presence of an actual legitimate commitment. It could also be wrapping up a creative project with a collaborator, or the end of overindulging in celebratory or sexual behavior like partying, drinking, things like that, due to the promise that you've made to a partner or another person, or even including yourself. Sagittarius risings, this full moon is happening in your 4th house of home, family, roots, inner self, private life, foundation, emotions, property, and what it feels like home to you. And it's being supported by the North Node and Uranus in your 6th house of work, health, habits, routines, pets, labor, structure, and jobs. So this could look like the ending of a home-related matter, such as moving out of your apartment due to a work-related changes, or wrapping up a lease that isn't suitable for your daily commute anymore, cleaning the house and throwing out what clutters your usual routine, or even maybe moving back in with family and setting boundaries around those who remind you of home due to a pet, health, or work-related matters. Capricorn risings, this full moon is happening in your 3rd house of everyday communication, environment, people, content consumption, thought processes, short trips, cars, transportation, and conversations, and it's being supported by your 5th house of sex, romance, children, fun, entertainment, indulgence, creativity, pleasure, and your inner child. So this could be the end of a short trip with a fling or a situationship. Oh my god, I can't speak. The end of a short trip with a fling or situationship. Say that 3 times fast. Or the closing out of a habit or way of thinking that no longer supports your creative or feel-good goals, such as unfollowing people who bother you, or setting boundaries with people who you're super close to, and wrapping up a new learned skill. Aquarius risings, this full moon is happening in your 2nd house of money, finances, values, possessions, self-worth, emotional and financial security, ownership, and things that belong to only you. And it's being supported by Uranus in the North Node in your 4th house of home, family, roots, inner self, private life, foundation, emotions, property, and what feels like home to you. So this could look like the ending or wrapping up of an income stream due to a living situation, letting go of any negative beliefs regarding self-worth that were adopted from the people closest to you, possibly your family, people that raised you, or making a big purchase, investment, or paying off a position for your home. Pisces risings, this full moon is happening in your 1st house of self, identity, looks, personality, sense of self, perspective, approach to life, and it's being supported by Uranus in the North Node in your 3rd house of everyday communication, environment, people, content consumption, thought processes, short trips, cars, transportation, and conversation. So you're really the big star of the show here. You're the main character with a big cathartic ending or letting go around your sense of self, whether it's switching up your style or your looks, or letting go of a particular way that you approach life, but it's being supported by new ways of thinking, new learned practical skills and conversations, as well as a change to your immediate environment, inspiring a new beginning in your relationships entirely.